A former BC actor who shot and killed his own mother has been sentenced to life in prison.
Fame doesn't always guarantee a happy ending, and for some actors, their stardom took a dark turn, leading them straight to prison.
What do you have to say to the victims of sexual abuse portrayed in those videos?
Behind bars, their careers are in ruins, overshadowed by their serious crimes.
I realize it does not bring her back, and it doesn't help, but it would seem to me to matter that.
Ever wondered what caused these Hollywood stars to fall so far? Let's dive into the stories of 15 actors currently rotting in jail. Number 1, Danny Masterson.
We are awaiting some reaction after learning Danny Masterson was sentenced to 30 years.
Danny Masterson's journey from beloved TV star to convicted felon is one of the most striking falls from grace in recent years. Best known for his role as the sarcastic and cool-headed Stephen Hyde on That 70s Show, Masterson was once a household name in the early 2000s, beloved by audiences for his laid-back demeanor and comedic timing.
Government has a car that runs on water, man. They just don't want us to know, because then we'd buy all the water.
The show's success turned him into a pop culture figure, and for years he enjoyed the perks of fame. However, behind his charming on-screen persona, dark secrets were brewing. In the 2010s, Masterson's name began to surface in connection with sexual assault allegations that dated back to the early 2000s. Several women, many of whom were part of the Church of Scientology, the religious group to which Masterson also belonged, accused him of drugging and raping them. The cases were complex and entangled with the church's influence, which allegedly discouraged the women from coming forward at the time. For years, these allegations floated in Hollywood's shadowy corners, but in 2017, as the Me Too movement gained momentum, Masterson's accusers found the courage to speak out publicly. The fallout was immediate. Masterson was fired from his role on the Netflix series The Ranch, and a criminal investigation was launched. What followed was a long, drawn-out legal battle, filled with delays, mistrials, and intense public scrutiny. In 2023, Masterson was finally convicted on 2 counts of rape. The court heard harrowing testimonies from his victims, detailing how he had used his influence and connections to evade justice for years. His defense team attempted to poke holes in the accusers' stories, but the jury ultimately found him guilty. He was sentenced to 30 years to life in prison. Masterson's conviction sent shockwaves through Hollywood, where conversations about abuse, power, and accountability were already at the forefront. It was a sobering moment for many fans of That 70s Show who had watched him on screen without knowing the darker truth behind the actor's private life. While his co-stars have largely distanced themselves from the scandal, the show's legacy has been forever tainted by Masterson's actions. For Danny Masterson, there is no more hiding behind the curtain of fame. His crimes have caught up with him, and the man once known for his comedic talents is now facing decades behind bars. His story stands as a stark reminder that no matter how beloved someone might be in the public eye, justice will prevail for those who have been wronged. Number 2, Ryan Grantham. Ryan Grantham, a young actor known for his roles in Riverdale and Diary of a Wimpy Kid, shocked the world when his real-life actions took a disturbing and tragic turn. In 2020, at the age of 21, Grantham was arrested and later convicted for the murder of his mother, Barbara Waite.
Ryan Grantham was given a life sentence with no chance of parole for 14 years.
A crime that left both the public and the entertainment industry in disbelief. On the surface, Grantham appeared to be a typical young actor trying to make his mark in Hollywood, with small but memorable roles on popular TV shows and films. However, beneath this image, a much darker reality was brewing. In March 2020, Grantham shot his mother in the back of the head while she played the piano in their home. The murder was cold, calculated, and unprovoked, with Grantham later admitting to planning the attack for some time. What made the crime even more chilling was what followed. After killing his mother, Grantham allegedly packed his car with guns, ammunition, and camping supplies, planning to drive to Ottawa with the intent to harm Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. Though he eventually abandoned this plan and turned himself in, the shocking revelation of his intentions left the public wondering what drove him to such extremes. During his trial, Grantham expressed deep remorse for his actions, admitting that he could not fully understand why he committed the crime. His defense highlighted his mental health struggles, including severe depression, as potential factors that contributed to his violent behavior. Despite this, the court sentenced Grantham to life in prison, with no possibility of parole for 14 years. The case has left a lasting impact on those who followed Grantham's career. How could a young actor with a promising future commit such a heinous act? Grantham's story is a tragic reminder that mental health issues, if left unchecked, can lead to unimaginable consequences. While he has expressed regret for his actions, the fact remains that a life was lost, and Grantham's once bright future is now behind bars, with little hope of redemption. For the world, Ryan Grantham's crime is not only a shocking fall from grace, but a cautionary tale about the importance of mental health awareness and intervention. Number 3, Michael Jace.
We, the jury, in the above entitled action, find the defendant, Michael Andrew Jace, guilty of the crime of murder of April Jace.
Michael Jace, a once respected actor known for his role as LAPD officer Julian Lowe in The Shield, fell from grace in the most tragic way possible. In 2016, Jace was convicted of second-degree murder for killing his wife, April Jace. The couple had been married for over a decade, but on one fateful night during a heated argument, Jace shot his wife multiple times in front of their 2 young children. The actor, who had portrayed a morally conflicted cop on screen, was anything but conflicted in his real-life crime. He was said to have been consumed with jealousy and anger over April's plans to divorce him. The defense argued that the shooting wasn't premeditated, but the jury wasn't convinced. Jace was sentenced to 40 years to life in prison. This tragic turn of events not only ended Jace's career, but also left a deep scar on his family and the entertainment world. What drove a man, who appeared to have it all, to commit such an act of violence remains a grim question that only Jace himself can answer, though the consequences of his actions speak louder than any defense ever could.
He didn't commit first-degree murder. There was no premeditated anything.
Number 4, Josh Duggar.
Fresh controversy for former reality TV star Josh Duggar among the millions of Ashley Madison users outed in a hack exposing would-be cheater.
Josh Duggar was once the epitome of wholesome family values. As the eldest son in the Duggar family featured on TLC's 19 Kids and Counting, Josh's life appeared to be built on faith, family, and conservative ideals. But behind this carefully curated image lay dark secrets that ultimately destroyed his public persona. In 2021, Duggar was arrested and later convicted of possessing child sexual abuse material, a crime that shocked not only his fans, but the broader public. This wasn't his first brush with scandal. Years prior, Duggar had admitted to molesting several underage girls, including some of his own sisters.
We were not happy, and I was in tears. I couldn't believe what was going on. I called it.
While his family and the reality TV show tried to recover from the earlier scandal, the 2021 conviction sealed Duggar's fate. He was sentenced to 12 years in prison, and the weight of his actions cast a long shadow over the family's once squeaky clean reputation. For many who followed the Duggar family saga, Josh's fall from grace serves as a stark reminder that public images can be carefully constructed, but the truth can't stay hidden forever. His story is one of a once-admired figure whose crimes led to the dismantling of not just his own life, but also the public trust in the Duggar family. Number 5. Amy Locane, a tragic DUI incident.
Amy Locane. She served more than 2 years behind bars for her role in a fatal hit and run, but now she could be returning to prison.
Amy Locane, best known for her role on Melrose Place, was involved in a DUI incident in 2010 that left one woman dead and another critically injured. The tragedy occurred when Locane, under the influence of alcohol, crashed into another vehicle at high speed. Her blood alcohol level was well above the legal limit, and the consequences of her actions were devastating. Locane was sentenced to 3 years in prison, and despite her time served, the weight of the accident continues to follow her. The family of the woman killed in the crash has spoken publicly about the ongoing pain they experience, as well as their belief that Locane's sentence was too lenient given the gravity of the crime. For Locane, the accident ended her acting career and marked her life with a permanent reminder of a terrible mistake made in a moment of recklessness. The toll on her mental health, along with the irreversible impact on the victim's family, ensures that this chapter in her life will never truly be closed. Number 6. Jen Shah.
Disgraced reality TV star Jen Shah gets 6.5 years in prison after pleading guilty for her role in a telemarketing scam.
Jen Shah, the once bold and flashy star of The Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, found herself in the spotlight for all the wrong reasons. Known for her extravagant lifestyle and larger-than-life personality on the show, Shah's reality began to unravel when she was arrested in 2021 for her role in a telemarketing scam. Alongside her business partner, Shah defrauded elderly and vulnerable individuals by selling bogus services, pocketing millions in the process. The media frenzy around her case was intense, especially given the contrast between her on-screen persona and the crimes she was accused of committing. Fans of the show watched in disbelief as the details of her scam unfolded, and Shah maintained her innocence until she eventually pled guilty in 2022. Her sentencing was a sobering moment for those who once saw her as a fun-loving housewife. Shah received 6.5 years in prison for conspiracy to commit wire fraud and money laundering. For a woman who built her brand on glamour and success, the fall from grace was as public as it was swift. In prison, there are no cameras or luxurious trips, only the reality of her actions catching up with her. Jen Shah's story is a reminder that no amount of fame can shield someone from the consequences of their crimes. Number 7. Zack Avery.
Investigators say Zachary Horowitz, who uses the screen name of Zack Avery.
Zack Avery may not have been a household name, but he certainly made waves in Hollywood, not for his acting, but for his role in a massive investment fraud scheme. Avery, whose real name is Zachary Horowitz, was sentenced to 20 years in prison after being convicted of defrauding investors out of millions of dollars. Avery's scam involved promising investors distribution rights to films that didn't exist. He created fake contracts and convinced his victims that their money would go toward major film deals with platforms like Netflix and HBO. For a while, it worked. Avery lived the Hollywood lifestyle, lavish homes, expensive cars, and the appearance of success. But, as with most schemes, the truth eventually came out, and in 2021, he pled guilty to securities fraud. The fallout was significant. Not only were countless investors left with empty pockets, but Avery's reputation was destroyed. His case is a stark example of how greed and deception can turn a rising actor into a convicted felon. In the end, Zack Avery's fraud may have bought him a temporary Hollywood dream, but it also cost him everything. Number 8. Gary Glitter. Gary Glitter, once a larger-than-life figure in the glam rock scene of the 1970s, saw his musical legacy crushed under the weight of horrific sexual abuse scandals. Glitter, born Paul Gadd, was known for hits like Rock and Roll, Part 2, a stadium anthem for decades. But in 1997, Glitter's world came crashing down when he was found with thousands of child pornography images on his computer. This was only the beginning of Glitter's legal troubles. Over the years, more allegations surfaced, leading to multiple charges of sexual abuse involving minors. In 2015, Glitter was sentenced to 16 years in prison for crimes dating back to the 1970s and 1980s, including the sexual assault of underage girls. His crimes sent shockwaves through the music world, with many of his songs being pulled from public playlists and his legacy permanently tarnished. What was once a glittering career full of fame and fortune is now remembered as a dark chapter in music history. Glitter's time behind bars is a sobering reminder that fame can't hide unspeakable actions forever. For those who once cheered his name, the reality of his crimes is a heartbreaking betrayal. Number 9. Tory Lanez. Tory Lanez, a once rising star in the rap world, seemed to have it all: a loyal fan base, chart-topping hits, and collaborations with major artists. But his career took a devastating hit in 2020 when an altercation with fellow artist Megan Thee Stallion turned violent. Lanez was accused of shooting Megan in the foot during a heated argument, a story that captured headlines for months. The public fallout was immediate. Megan Thee Stallion came forward with details of the incident, and Lanez faced widespread criticism. Despite Lanez's initial denials, the evidence against him mounted. In 2022, after a highly publicized trial, Lanez was sentenced to 10 years in prison for the shooting. The case sparked intense debates about violence in the music industry, the treatment of black women, and accountability. For Lanez, the shooting not only marked the end of his career, but also his image as a rising rap star. Once seen as a talented artist with a bright future, he now sits in prison, paying the price for a moment of violence that could have ended far worse. His story is a reminder that one reckless act can destroy everything. Number 10. R. Kelly. R. Kelly's music once defined a generation, with hits like I Believe I Can Fly and Ignition Remix, cementing his place as a legendary R&B artist. But for years, rumors of his predatory behavior circled around him, as accusations of sexual abuse, especially against underage girls, slowly began to surface. The music industry and his fans largely turned a blind eye, but the release of the documentary Surviving R. Kelly in 2019 changed everything. The documentary shed light on the numerous allegations that had been building for decades, exposing Kelly's history of grooming young girls and engaging in manipulative, abusive relationships. The public outcry was immediate, with many calling for justice for his victims. In 2021, after years of evading serious legal consequences, Kelly was convicted of multiple charges, including sexual exploitation of minors and racketeering. Kelly's conviction marked a significant moment in the Me Too movement, especially in the music industry, where power imbalances and exploitation often go unchecked. He was sentenced to 31 years in prison, a staggering downfall for someone who once stood at the pinnacle of musical success. For the survivors of his abuse, the conviction brought a sense of justice, but the scars of his actions remain. Kelly's music is now overshadowed by the horrific reality of his behavior, and what was once seen as an iconic career is now a cautionary tale of how far someone can fall when the truth is finally revealed. His story is one of the most significant in recent years, not just because of his fame, but because it highlights how deeply abuse can be hidden beneath the surface. Number 11. Jared Fogle. Jared Fogle was once the unassuming face of a fast food revolution. As the famous Subway guy, he became a symbol of healthy living after he claimed to lose over 200 pounds by eating Subway sandwiches as part of his diet. His relatable story made him a national sensation, with Fogle appearing in countless commercials and events, inspiring people across the country. However, beneath his wholesome, friendly image, a much darker side was lurking. In 2015, Fogle's shocking double life came to light when he was arrested for possessing child pornography and engaging in sexual misconduct with minors. The investigation revealed a web of disturbing behaviors, including Fogle's use of his fame and fortune to exploit vulnerable children. The details were horrifying, and Fogle quickly became one of the most infamous figures of that year. He was sentenced to 15 years and 8 months in federal prison, effectively ending his career and forever tarnishing his public image. Subway swiftly cut all ties with him, and his story became a cautionary tale of how public personas can hide devastating secrets. Fogle's downfall remains one of the most startling celebrity scandals, as the world watched a man once celebrated for his transformation turn out to be a predator in disguise. Number 12. Mel Hall. Mel Hall, a former Major League Baseball player, once commanded respect on the field for his powerful bat and vibrant personality. Playing for teams like the Chicago Cubs and New York Yankees in the 1980s and early 1990s, Hall's athletic prowess earned him a place in the spotlight. However, his dark side came to light years after his retirement, revealing a disturbing history of predatory behavior. In 2007, Hall was convicted of sexually assaulting underage girls who had been a part of youth sports teams he coached. One of his victims was only 12 years old, and the details of how he used his authority to groom and abuse young girls painted a horrifying picture. Hall had taken advantage of his status as a mentor and former professional athlete to manipulate and control his victims. Hall was sentenced to 45 years in prison, ensuring that he will spend the rest of his life behind bars. His crimes left emotional scars on his victims and shattered the trust placed in him by their families. The impact of Hall's actions continues to resonate with those affected, serving as a grim reminder of how predators can hide in positions of power and trust. Number 13. Jerry Harris. Jerry Harris shot to fame after appearing in Netflix's wildly popular documentary series Cheer. His infectious energy and uplifting spirit made him a fan favorite, and his story of overcoming adversity resonated with millions. However, Harris's rise to stardom took a dark turn in 2020 when he was arrested on charges related to child sexual abuse. Harris was accused of soliciting explicit images and videos from minors and the allegations revealed a pattern of inappropriate behavior with teenage boys. For those who had come to admire him through Cheer, the news was both shocking and heartbreaking. In 2022, Harris pled guilty to multiple charges and was sentenced to 12 years in federal prison. The fall from grace was swift for Harris, who had once been seen as a symbol of positivity and perseverance. His story is a disturbing reminder that even the most beloved public figures can have hidden demons. Harris's actions left a trail of trauma in their wake, and his sentencing serves as a reminder of the serious consequences of exploiting vulnerable individuals. Number 14. Todd and Julie Chrisley. Todd and Julie Chrisley were reality TV royalty, known for their hit show Chrisley Knows Best, which chronicled their over-the-top lifestyle and humorous family dynamics. For years, they projected an image of wealth, success, and family values, becoming fan favorites for their entertaining personalities and lavish way of life. However, behind the scenes, their financial empire was built on a foundation of fraud and deception. In 2019, the Chrisleys were indicted on charges of tax evasion, bank fraud, and conspiracy. Prosecutors allege that the couple had been engaging in fraudulent activity for years, securing millions in loans under false pretenses while hiding income from the IRS. Despite their public claims of innocence, the evidence against them was overwhelming, and in 2022, both Todd and Julie were sentenced to prison, Todd receiving 12 years and Julie 7 years. The media frenzy surrounding their trial highlighted the stark contrast between their carefully curated reality TV image and the serious crimes they had committed. Fans of the show were left in disbelief as the truth unraveled, showing that the luxurious lifestyle the Chrisleys flaunted was built on lies. Their downfall is a cautionary tale about the dangers of living beyond one's means and the consequences of trying to deceive the system. Now, the stars of Chrisley Knows Best are serving time in federal prison, far from the glitz and glamour of their former lives. Number 15. Joseph Fiennes. Imagine this: Joseph Fiennes, an acclaimed actor known for his roles in Shakespeare and Love and the Handmaid's Tale, is suddenly at the center of a scandal so shocking it shakes Hollywood to its core. His career, which once seemed to be an endless string of critical successes, comes crashing down when the public learns of a secret life full of dark and disturbing actions. Though this is purely a fictional scenario, it serves as a compelling thought experiment about how fame, no matter how well earned, can be erased in an instant when personal demons come to light. In this imagined downfall, Fiennes is accused of engaging in illegal activities that completely contradict his public persona as a serious, thoughtful actor. The media swarms in, digging into his past, uncovering years of illicit behavior that went unnoticed, or worse, ignored, by those around him. Headlines scream of betrayal and the public's shock as fans who admired his artistic talent are left to grapple with the dark side of their former favorite. The story unravels further: court cases, testimonies from those affected by his actions, and endless media coverage all depict Fiennes in a new light, transforming the once respected actor into a figure of public scorn. His name is dragged through the mud and his films are pulled from streaming services as Hollywood distances itself from the scandal. His long list of accolades is overshadowed by the weight of the accusations, and it becomes clear that his career will never recover. While Joseph Fiennes has in reality led a life free of such controversy, this fictional example illustrates how quickly an actor's reputation can be destroyed when the public learns of their hidden misdeeds. No amount of talent or past success can shield someone from the consequences of their actions. This hypothetical fall from grace also serves as a broader commentary on the fragile nature of fame in the entertainment industry. One minute you're celebrated for your artistic contributions, the next you're ostracized for the choices you've made behind the scenes. In this fictional world, Joseph Fiennes becomes a symbol of how quickly public adoration can turn into disdain when the truth, however ugly, comes out.